from the South Bay's news leader. News Channel 11 at 6.
Violence on the job today is epidemic. All too often where people work is a scene of brutal clashes, many that end in death. What is more, an estimated 1 in 4 workers will become victims. Tonight, part 1 of my series, Surviving Your Job, Violence in the Workplace.
People are dead after a disgruntled client opens fire in a law office in San Francisco's financial district.
Fired from his job in the software engineering department, today he came back with an arsenal of weapons, apparently to punish anyone who got in his way.
Police say Uesugi struck and killed 7 former members of his technical support team. It happened in Seattle this time. A suspect walks into a building and shoots. 2 people are dead and 2 are wounded.
They are images that pepper the headlines today. Gruesome reminders that the workplace is no sanctuary from violence.
Very, very, very true statement. There is no place that cannot be penetrated and will not be penetrated.
Each week, an average of 20 workers are murdered on the job in this country. And homicide is now the leading cause of job-related deaths in California. What is more, the Bay Area is at the center of the storm.
Workplace violence here in 2 locations, the Los Angeles area and the San Francisco Bay Area, are 2 most highest or most prone areas for this type of incident to occur. And I always teach people this, that you're the one that's going to look out for your own safety. Others generally will not do that.
All the people they describe, they who would have thought? And then all of a sudden, whoa, you know. So you can't be too sure.
If I thought there was a wacko in the office next to me, I'd do something about it.
Workplace-related violence was virtually unheard of until the 1970s, but since then it's exploded. Many blame social issues such as substance abuse, easy access to firearms, the proliferation of violence on television and in the movies, and the growing ethnic differences among workers today. But some experts believe the real underlying issue is stress.
It is not the stress of the work. It is the stress of the relationships.
Often relationships with superiors. Over 70% of workplace violence today involves workers being disciplined, laid off, or fired.
They see themselves having worked, having put in a lot of time, a lot of effort, having paid their dues, and yet still being cut out, still being sort of arbitrarily cast aside.
And in a growing number of cases, the workers' response is deadly.
People go after certain workers. In fact, people have stalked through establishments and say, I'm not looking for you, you're okay. I'm not looking for you, you're okay. I'm looking for you, you're dead.
Yet homicide accounts for only a fraction of internal workplace violence. Each week, over 20,000 workers are assaulted on the job.
If there is someone within a company who is approaching an edge, that people should be aware of it and something should be done about it.
And something is, but only in a small number of companies. And often this is due to the fact that workplace violence now costs businesses over $36 billion a year in litigation, lost productivity, and damage control.
I think probably some 25% of the companies really take it very, very, very seriously and are incredibly responsible. I think about 75% of the companies out there see it as another one of those things that the government gets all bent out of shape about and all upset about, and do not take it nearly as seriously as they should or could.
Well, coming up tonight at 11, a closer look at some of the dangers in the workplace and tips on how best to survive. That's tonight on News Channel 11 at 11.
Now, from the South Bay's news leader, News Channel 11 at 11.
The American workplace, like the American school, is not the safest place to be today. Tonight, we'll look at how to stay safe on the job.
You're watching the South Bay's news leader, News Channel 11, with the news from where you live.
Another problem our nation is facing is workplace violence. In fact, it is one of the most serious problems in the country today. Here in California, homicide is now the leading cause of death on the job. In fact, the odds are 1 in 4 you will be assaulted or murdered while at work. Tonight, in the second part of my series, Surviving Your Job, Violence in the Workplace, things you should know about to protect yourself. For many Silicon Valley workers, what happened at ESL in Sunnyvale in February 1988 is the ultimate nightmare of workplace violence. Fired from his job as a software engineer and upset over being rebuffed by co-worker Laura Black, 39-year-old Richard Wade Farley armed himself to the teeth and went back to ESL looking for Black and others. When it was over, 7 co-workers were dead, and Black had a bullet in her shoulder.
Yeah, I shot her today. I think. I think through the door.
Yeah, I think you hit her in the shoulder.
Did I? Well, I hope she lives. I hope she's okay, and I hope she never does this to anybody else again.
Laura Black survived, and Farley is now on death row. But Laura Black continues to represent the victims of most workplace killers.
It is working women who are the single largest targets of homicides in workplace violence.
This too often because many problems that start at home end up being settled at work. And as with Laura Black, often involve stalkers. While it's easy to change your phone number or change your address, it's not that easy to change your job. And work is the one location where you can almost always be found.
What I find to be the case most often is that most employees with the domestic type issue are afraid to come forward because of embarrassment and so forth and talk to the employer. And therefore they kind of keep this shielded or hidden until it becomes a crisis.
Authorities say that anyone who is the victim of violence and should have a restraining order ought to get one. You also need to inform your boss that you're being stalked. This so the company can get its own restraining order even if the worker refuses to get one. But the bottom line is, be prepared to protect yourself.
Awareness is key. You should be looking out to see who's around you, who's doing what, and watch what's occurring in your environment.
So let's say you're at work and you think you hear gunshots.
So if you can get out of your building, if it is gunfire, do so. Try to alert other employees, get them to a point of safety, and call the police.
But what if you can't get out of the building?
Try to get everybody to the farthest corner of the business and lock them in a door and try to hide. Make sure you're behind things that will protect you. If you're inside a workstation where you have no place to go, try to hide underneath the desk or do something and pull a coat or something over you. Again, many times if you're concealed, you may elude the perpetrator altogether.
They are set, almost all of them now, to take themselves out at the end. That's the first decision that's made. Will I take myself out at the end? If I take myself out at the end, then I can take anybody else out with me.
Today, the Santa Clara and San Jose police departments hold regular seminars to instruct management and employees on ways to protect against workplace violence. Federal and state law requires that employers provide a safe and secure workplace for their employees. However, it's estimated that fully 3/4 of businesses only become concerned about workplace violence after someone has been seriously injured. And the Bay Area is near the top of the list when it comes to violence on the job. The bottom line being, it is up to you to demand that your employer do what is necessary to make your workplace as safe as possible.